welcome to the Naz Boys podcast. I'm your host, Mike, aka Mike Fob Fan 101, with my good friend and co-host Christian, aka Savage NASCAR.
What do Nas Boys crew?
So let's get down to talking about this weekend or this past weekend's race over at the LA Coliseum for the Busch Light Flash. This event had some moments where we got to talk about it. We got to spread our opinion. I think to start out with it, let's talk about them moving the race from Sunday to Saturday. I can't think of any incident in NASCAR history where they have had to move the race an entire day because of weather. And I have mixed feelings about it because, for one, or I meant the day of the race. I saw you make a weird face at me.
I was about to
Excuse me.
say, Mike, you've done
Excuse
that
me. Let
many
me let me
times.
let me clarify it before I give my full opinion. I meant where they like moved the race the day of the race to the day before the scheduled event. But anyway, um, my opinion on it. I think it was smart of NASCAR to move it, but I was a little frustrated that they did it the day of the race. Or that
Okay.
it's so confusing the way I'm phrasing it. The day that the race actually happened and the day before the scheduled date. And let me tell you why. NASCAR is a big corporation. I understand they have deadlines. I understand Fox has deadlines. They had to broadcast a lot of stuff, like they had a college basketball game right after. I understand all the work that goes into planning sporting events, races, all that. And it's frustrating to have to push back a scheduled event and probably find more TV time to fill NASCAR's slot. But NASCAR should have been more prepared with the race was a week away. There were people in NASCAR chats that I'm in that knew it was going to rain, and NASCAR didn't say crap about it raining. NASCAR should have told people, NASCAR should have told fans, ticket holders that, look, there's rain scheduled in the area. In the event that the race will need to be moved, we will let you know. But NASCAR did do a good job by making the race fair, but free, excuse me, not fair, free.
Yeah.
They let people in for free, but it just really sucks because I saw a bunch of people complaining, they couldn't watch it. And I thought that was going to hurt ratings, but it didn't. They still pulled in 1.5 million viewers, which is absolutely impressive. They still had a decent crowd on hand, um, which I mean, I'll get into it a little bit with Machine Gun Smelly leaving the Coliseum. But overall, I think NASCAR did a good job given the circumstance, but they still could have done some things better. But I'm glad that they were at least more aware of the weather issue instead of having fans just sit around and waiting for the race and then just moving it anyway at the last minute.
Well, at least they got it in. The thing that really made people upset was that it was kind of like late notice, but it was to where some people that were, say, for instance, traveling in on Sunday, they couldn't go see it because it
Yeah.
was on Saturday. Um, I know somebody named Alan Bailey who was at the track. He said that he was in a souvenir hauler at the track when they made he got an email that it was going to get moved and they were just about to announce it. And he just started freaking out, I guess is what he quote unquote his words, because he's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But to be honest, it's time for the Coliseum race to go. I'm sorry, I'm tired of it. I know the Busch Clash wasn't great the last couple years of Daytona, but I'd rather have that over this. I'll be honest.
I mean, for when I was where I was watching the race, I was literally watching a college basketball game. I just looked at my phone and saw the race got moved, and I thought it was a joke. I mean, it's also unfair for people that could have been traveling and they didn't realize the race was getting moved and they probably couldn't even make it to the track on time. It's unfair for people that wanted to watch it but were busy with other things. And I saw another comment from somebody saying that he had a flight scheduled at 6 a.m. the day of the race that was supposed to happen, and he couldn't even go because
Mm.
he had a flight. It's stupid.
Well, at
But
least they got the race in, and
right.
in NASCAR's book, it's a W because it poured rain the next day, and you had a great TV ratings, and you still made a lot of profit off of it, I'm sure.
It's
The
true.
Mexico race was pretty good as well. So I mean, I thought it was a good. They think it was a thumbs up in their book, but of course, people are not going to be happy. It's NASCAR fans. NASCAR fan base is getting worse and worse every year. Not as
It's
bad as
true.
F1 fans, but it's still
It's
up
still
there.
up there. Oh,
Um,
we will get into F1. Don't worry.
it's not an F1 podcast, but if you want to talk about that, you want to we talk about it. I think that the racing was pretty decent. Other than the winner, I'm not a huge fan of Denny Hamlin, but um, he's pretty good at short tracks. Like Martinsville. So didn't really surprise me. He needs to come up with a new catchphrase. Not really. It's his thing. I I'm not gonna knock him for that. And then your boy Joey trying to fight with a teenager is kind of funny.
Guys, off here, off the lift gate. Guys, don't crowd a lift gate.
But other than that, I thought
This
it
is
was
a
okay.
teenager.
Well, Ty Gibbs is in his teens, so you know what I mean.
Is he?
Um,
I
isn't
thought he was
he?
20. I
I
thought he
thought
was
he
like
was
20 or
19.
21.
I thought he was 18 or 19.
Hold on. I'm looking this up right now, folks. I was right. Ty Gibbs is 21.
What?
Dead, yeah. But
I
my
must
opinion,
be old. I'm old, bro. Like I remember when he was driving in ARC.
yeah, I know,
But
right?
yeah, that's crazy. And then Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and tempers happening in the clash. I don't know whether to believe if it was scripted or not. I just think that it's I am a little surprised by that considering it wasn't a points race.
Yeah. Um, my take on the race, I thought it was an all right race. I thought it was way better than last year. At least there was more like battling, and we did have some moments with tempers. Um, some notable moments, like you mentioned, Ricky Stenhouse, Michael McDowell had a little incident. They were slamming into each other. They got into a wreck. That was just typical Coliseum racing.
Exactly.
I didn't really see anybody at fault there. Logano and Gibbs. I get why Joey was frustrated. I believe he was frustrated. Second to last restart, Ty Gibbs knocked him up a little bit, and it ended up putting him from second all the way down to about fourth, which was understandable. He lost 2 spots, but it's like it's the clash. The track is
Exactly.
it's such a tight space. You're not going to have enough room to race each other clean, give each other a lot of room. And I know a lot of drivers were frustrated that people were not racing with respect. It's understandable,
It's the short
to get
track.
upset about it. It's understandable to get upset that people aren't racing you with respect, but when you have a track that's built for virtually entertainment and having drivers possibly even have tempers, that's going to happen. You just got to let it go. It's a non-points race. It's a preseason race to get the drivers back into the swing of the season, to get the fans excited for the season. You don't need to get all mad at each other over it. I get it's racing, it's frustrating, but just save it for Daytona. We got a big race coming up next week. Really excited for it. Overall, but Ty Gibbs did impress me though. I will say that. Ty Gibbs impressed me, and Justin Haley was up running in the front a little bit, or top 10 in a Rick Ware car, that Walmart car with the painted rims. That's crazy. Overall, I'll give the Clash about a 5.5 out of 10. I don't think they should do it again. Thought it was good enough for a one-off, maybe 2 races. But we even saw it in the race last year. I know we mentioned it last year, but I will say this again. The attendance is going down. It was up the first year because fans were curious about the track. But now that they've seen the track, they've seen the product of the racing, they're starting to not care. I think it's time that we switch up the venue a little bit for the Clash.
Yeah.
Maybe even move it every year so it's a different track and it's more interesting. I would like to see it at Bristol. I think that could create a good like clash term.
Okay.
Darlington would be another cool place to have it. Maybe Atlanta, maybe Martinsville.
I'd say I wouldn't say a short track. I'd say something with speed, but you know, I would if I were to give the Busch Classic rating 1 out of 10, I'd probably give it a 4.8. To be honest, um, it's time to go for it. Go with it. Now, what was the thing you were wanting to talk about with Mr. Kelly or
Oh yes,
Smelly, as you'd like to say?
machine gun smelly. Um, like I mentioned in the last episode, he was supposed to perform at the halfway break, and he ended up apparently leaving the stadium because I guess he saw the fans or whatever, like the dwindling attendance. First of all, Kelly, what do you
Oh boy.
expect when the race gets delayed to a day, or not delayed, but pushed back a day, for one, and for two, it's NASCAR. You signed up for it. Okay. What did you think you were gonna perform at a stadium show with like a big rock band like Green Day or like Rolling Stones or some crap like that? No. You signed up for a NASCAR race. There's gonna be people in a even if it was filled up, how many people does the Coliseum hold? Like what, 80,000, 100,000?
Yeah, so I mean it's a big number, but regardless, I think any other artist probably would have not played either. And the reason is of the day before change. So you don't know why he probably had to leave. We don't know that. I'm not gonna say that he was a deuce for doing that, but that's
Look,
just my personal opinion.
nobody was gonna care either way
I
that
mean,
Kelly.
you're not wrong. Nobody was gonna care, but still,
Nobody cares that Kelly left. I'm actually glad. I was ready to, go in the bathroom and take a pee break while he was performing, or even change the channel. Matter of fact, because I do not like Machine Gun Kelly. I could go on a whole rant of why I don't like Machine Gun Kelly, but this is not a personal life podcast. This is a NASCAR podcast. So I'm glad NASCAR did not have him on. I'm glad he left the stadium, and I hope they did not pay him because he left the stadium. But
okay.
going into thoughts about the race, 0% said great, 55% said good, 36% said mess, that's okay, 9% said bad, no thoughts, no driver. Wow, I'm going to have to give it to Ty Gibbs. I think he had the fastest car. He was really dominant throughout the race. The only times he really wasn't was at the beginning when Joey Logano led, and then the middle part when Denny Hamlin took the lead.
I'd say it's either Hamlin or Justin Haley.
So I guess to talk about general topics, let's talk a little bit about the NASCAR Netflix documentary. And have you seen some of the documentary?
I don't have Netflix. I canceled it about 4 years ago.
Oh,
And the
dang, that
reason
sucks.
I'm not going to go into the reason why, but yeah, I didn't watch it. I know you have, so could you share that with us?
I watched it, and I will say I thought they did a very good job at producing it. I thought it was very good at trying to get fans to watch the sport. You could tell with the way the broadcasters were explaining everything, or the people they had like Dale Jr., Marty Smith, Shannon Spake, Steve Letarte was on there at some points. I think Larry McReynolds made an appearance at some point. You could tell that it was built to make fans watch the sport, to introduce fans to the sport. And I saw plenty of comments where fans were like, wow, this sport is really cool. I think I'm going to try to watch a race. NASCAR achieved its goal there. The people they had on did a very good job at showing the life of a NASCAR driver, but I will have a few complaints. It's not like a major complaint, it's just something to point out. The documentary was absolutely centered around 2311 racing. And I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but it kind of sucks when you want to learn more about a specific driver. Like, let's say you are, I don't know, a Tyler Reddick fan, and you want to see more well, Tyler Reddick's not a good example. How about a Ross Chastain fan like you? Let's say you're a Ross Chastain
Okay.
fan. They only showed a few clips of Ross Chastain. They showed kind of what he does outside of the track. They gave a brief overview of him. and they showed kind of him racing. Like they showed the race up at, I believe, Texas. He was featured in the episode. I think it was like episode 2 or 3. But
Okay.
the majority of the documentary was based on Bubba Wallace and Denny Hamlin. And I read later on in the comments that they were the only drivers that allowed the cameras to show whatever they needed to show. Not a lot of drivers really
Hmm.
wanted to, I guess, be featured on it. Like Joey Logano, for instance, I was really looking forward to seeing him. And while he was featured in the documentary, it was only stuff that you could get on his social media page, like
Yeah, I'm
him
not
hanging
surprised.
out with his kids, and he was showing off his house and kind of his room with a bunch of NASCAR stuff. Like he mentioned how he met Jeff Gordon. Like, sucks. UFC, I know you don't watch UFC, but they have a little vlog series called Embedded that they do before their big pay-per-view fights. And that does a great job of showing off the fighters. That's what I thought that was going to be. And not a lot of the drivers did that. They just showed a little bit of their home life, a little bit of the race preparation, and that's it. They were just private. Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace were not. And that's why the documentary was so centered on them. I
Yeah,
hope.
it's fine though. I mean, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, it's their choice whether they want them in their home or not. It's their choice whether they want them following them around everywhere.
Yeah, I just
I'm
wish
sure they
that
had to
more.
sign some documents and stuff too. So, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No, I just wanted to just kind of mention it because it was a little annoying constantly seeing Hamlin
You're
and
just not,
Wallace.
you don't want to see Denny Hamlin on your screen every
I
five
just
minutes.
don't want to constantly see it. Like I know they had other drivers, but I just wish more drivers were okay with the screen time. But overall, I give the documentary about a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it.
All right.
And I'm glad that it did do its job, brought fans in the sport, and they did a really good job of explaining things and explaining the drivers.
hmm
I thought the editing
Now,
was also really good too.
yeah, for sure. Now Daytona, the qualifying's coming up soon. You also got ARCA, and then the week after that, you got we got the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series at Daytona.
Mhm.
I just want to mention real quick about the ARCA 200 at Daytona. Last year's race was really decent. Greg Van Alst, former winner, he's back in it. But there's two people I want to mention that are a part of the entry list, which is over 50 people, which is crazy. I wish NASCAR was like this to where you could have as many entries as possible because that's how it used to be back in the day. And then the charter system happened, and I'm not a big fan of it. So I wish it, as many drivers could qualify as they want. Back in the day, if you've looked at NASCAR history, sometimes it'd be over 80 cars trying to qualify for the 500. So you know, it is what it is. But anyways, there's two people that I know. One of them I've met in person. The other ones I'm good online friends with that are actually running in the ARCA race. One of them is Cody Dennison. He's a YouTuber, Camelot 331.
Oh, really?
I've met him, and I've interviewed him a couple times at Rockingham Speedway. I filmed him running there, and he ran some different series last year, but not like NASCAR divisions. But he's getting his first ARCA start, so I'm very happy for him. I know it's something he's been wanting to do for a while, and yeah, man, it's pretty cool to see that someone that you know he's a YouTuber and content creator is actually racing, you know, making the jump into NASCAR. So
Right,
in ARCA specifically.
right.
So that's pretty cool. Hope he can make the field. And then there's Thomas Annuzieta. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he is someone who's raced across overseas a couple times in the past couple years. He's raced many different divisions of cars. I think he's. Let me think. What cars has he ran? He's ran. I don't remember the names, but he's ran at all sorts of different road courses and everything. Um, he hasn't got as much oval experience, but he finally got a chance to run in this ARCA race, and he's a huge NASCAR fan. He also runs a NASCAR history page called NASCAR Old Times on Instagram.
Yeah.
So
Really?
yes,
That guy's
um,
actually gonna run? That's cool.
yes, yep. So
Wow.
yeah, I've talked to him a little bit over the past couple weeks, and he's very excited for the opportunity. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of interesting names on the entry list. Some of these guys I never heard of before, but there's also a lot of females in this race too, like Amber Balcaine, Tony Bredinger. Marco Andretti's in this race too. So
Yeah.
I'm looking. This is the one year I would say that I've been more interested in the ARCA race than the Xfinity and Truck Series race for Daytona.
Wow. I considering that I don't pay attention to Arca, I just think it's not really a fun series. But to see a lot of these people that I like actually have heard of and are like content creators, that is really cool to hear that they get a
Yeah.
chance to even try to make the field. Um, I will say with Camelot, I know he owns a Ryan Newman car.
Mhm.
This is kind of a dumb question, so if it is, please just tell me, but is he gonna race that car or is he gonna
No.
race like a different car? Okay.
That's not it's not it doesn't go with the ARCA rulebook. Um he's ran that car at Daytona before, but on the road course years ago. But yeah, he's not running that. And he actually just got a sponsor a couple of days ago for this race. And then
Okay.
Thomas, I've seen various clips of him running, racing. I'm pretty sure Camaros, and I think I've seen him run a Porsche before. But he's won many different things. If you could just look up his Instagram account, you could see all his racing achievements over the past couple of years. And he's young too. He I think he's 18 or 19. Um,
18?
yeah, I believe so.
Wow.
So, that's pretty cool. Uh,
Very
yeah, I
cool.
mean,
Very cool.
it's definitely interesting. A lot of these drivers do have social media accounts, but none of them are like, I would say none of them are quote unquote YouTubers. So it's kind of an interesting topic I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm really interested to see how those two drivers do, especially in the field.
Yeah,
Um,
hope they make it in.
I guess another thing I wanted to bring up, it's not NASCAR, but because it's a major thing that goes on in the motorsports world, I kind of want to give my opinion on it.
Okay.
So for anybody who's an F1 fan, which I'm sure is like 90% of the viewers on here, because I don't know why everybody just loves F1. Um,
Me either. I don't know why.
Michael Andretti, who is Mario Andretti's, I think his son,
Yeah.
um, he was trying to have an F1 team because the F1 is getting way more popular in the States now. And some people even can argue that it's more popular than NASCAR. So you would think F1 would want to have more United States representation. The only representation from America they have is that Haas is a team, and there's only like one driver that's an American that's not in the lower series. He's in the main F1 division. Logan Sargent, I think his name is. And F1 or the FIA said no, that the Andretti name or the Andretti team would not benefit F1's grid, but
So stupid.
they allowed some other mid-ranked team, which here's the thing, F1. First of all, you guys are way too political. That's why a lot of people don't want to watch.
Yeah.
99% of the races Max Verstappen wins. Why would somebody want to wake up at 3 in the morning just when they know the result that Max Verstappen is going to win? It's so
And not
stupid.
only that, why would you wake up at 3 a.m. to watch a race where it's pretty much decided after the first corner?
Exactly. And like with F1, why would you not want to build upon your base? You have so many different nations that are represented. Spain is up there. Italy, I think, is in there. The
Yeah.
United Kingdom. Why would you not want to have America, one of the biggest nations in the world, if not the biggest well-known country? You don't want to represent America. You don't want to have an American team with possibly even more American drivers, but you want to race on our country and you want to have 4 circuits just to try to get more money out of your fans, you would probably get more money if you had the American team and the American drivers and more Americans supporting you. It's stupid. They just don't care. They just want to portray this one agenda and that's it. They don't want to do it. They just want to have these foreigners and they want to do all this political stuff to be relevant instead of focusing on being a motorsport and focusing on more growth. They mainly grew because of their Netflix documentary.
And if we're
But
being honest, they would get more fans if Andretti was on the grid in the first place because
exactly, that's beneficial.
Americans, dude, most of the American fans of F1, they don't really have a team, that they pull for. So if
Exactly.
they would, I mean, and most of them are not going to pull for Haas. They wreck almost every couple races. So why not give Andretti a shot? I mean, they've proven what they could do. The Andretti family name is one of the greatest, families in motorsports history. Why? It baffles me too.
And the majority of fans wanted to see the Andretti name. They want to see the sport continue to grow like it has been. And your fans are toxic, matter of fact. I think they're way more toxic than
yeah.
NASCAR. They think F1 is superior to every other sport. It's so ridiculous. NASCAR fans don't even think that. IndyCar fans don't even think that. And I'd still rather sit and watch an IndyCar race or a NASCAR race much more than I would watch an F1 race. I think F1 is a joke of a motorsport. That's
You're
my
not
hot
wrong.
take.
You're not wrong. And I stopped watching F1 back in the early 2010s. I used to watch it every once in a while, and then after around 2011 or 12 was when I stopped watching it.
But now let's get back to more of the NASCAR topic. I just wanted to rant a little bit about the F1 thing because it just made me a
Yeah.
little mad.
Now, meme of the week. We got 2 nominees for meme of the week. First up, we got Jimmy Logano's meme about the Busch Light clash. I thought that Denny Hamlin one was pretty funny. I beat your favorite driver again, the fans.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Jerry,
We do not care. Pretty classic. And Joey Logano and Gibbs. I thought that was pretty cool.
I like,
And then the other, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then the other one was NASCAR Memes IG. There wasn't a lot of meme material this week, but the one that he made about the Joey Logano realizing Ty Gibbs just in early 2010 Joey Logano.
Oh my God. I get it.
And then Denny Hamlin killing the vibe. To be honest with you, not great meme material this week, but what do you think?
I think I'd like to mention a couple other nominees too. I mean, it was in the same post. This one by NASCAR Memes IG with Christopher Bell saying he wasn't in the plan. That I thought that was pretty funny, taking the shot from the documentary. I guess that's pretty much it. Everything, and then this one too with the Clash being moved back to Daytona. And it's only 6 cars. That was what year was that? The 2020 Clash, I think.
Yeah, it was 2020. They kept wrecking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that now. Those 2 are pretty funny, but I think there wasn't really that much meme material. I don't know. And you can only make so many memes about the same stuff over and over again.
So I don't know what other topics I have for today.
Well, I was gonna get ready to go into the picks for this weekend's races. So I guess for
this weekend.
Or I'm sorry, next weekend. I don't know why I said this weekend.
I'm gonna wait to give mine, to be honest. It's still a week away. We haven't got the qualifying yet.
Well, I'll give my truck pick. I got not Time Majeski. Christian Eckes. I think Christian Eckes will win the Daytona race. Something different. Xfinity, I think Austin Hill. He's the plate master.
I mean, he's won the last 2 out of 3 races there, or am I wrong?
Easily 2 out of 3, yeah.
Christian Eckes, it'd be cool to see him win. But every time I pick him to win, he wrecks. So I'm not gonna probably pick him.
500 pick. You want to make it now or what?
It's up to you. I'm making mine next week.
I'm gonna make it now. I mean, this is probably a basic pick because I've made this pick, I think, every year we've done the podcast except one. But he's my favorite driver. He's a
Oh, here we
two-time
go.
NASCAR Cup Series champion.
No.
Joey Logano is going to win the Daytona 500. You already know he was close last year. He got passed by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's going to do it, baby. I'm telling you.
Mike. Why is it always Joey? I'm sorry, but you can't pick him every year. I just don't
I
get
can
it.
pick him every year. Yes, I can. I can
I mean,
absolutely
you're
pick him every year.
allowed to, but like, bro, like he hasn't won any
Bro,
of them.
Joey's not as bad of a pick as some people.
At least you didn't pick Daniel Suarez to win the 500.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, I think he could do decent, but he usually gets wrecked in the 500, so that's a different story. But yeah, dude, imagine if Brad Keselowski or Chris Buescher wins the 500. You know,
That is actually very possible.
they
I
were pretty
almost said
good
Brad.
they were pretty good last year. I mean, RFK racing has been gotten better at, I mean, in general, but the super speedway racing, they've been pretty well lately. So I would not be surprised by that.
But anyways, I think that's gonna wrap up this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Join the fantasy league.
You want me calling now? You wanting what I think?